I have never played Final Fantasy VII. I've played over a dozen JRPGs for this channel. I've done 6 playthroughs of a game widely considered unplayable just to collect fake trading cards, and somehow, until right this moment, I have never touched Final Fantasy VII. The PS1 era's blocky textures always got to me, and that's coming from somebody who was born before the PlayStation 1 even came out. But thanks to a modding community that I can only describe as terrifyingly dedicated, I've made this something I can actually sit with, and before anyone complains and says, "It's not authentic! I hate you!" Wah! All I gotta say is, shut up, Kevin. Every mod is purely cosmetic. No gameplay changes, no cheats, no difficulty curbing. The only curb I want is the one the game makes me bite before it stomps on my head. With that out of the way, we have 36 achievements to dig through, and I'm not getting any younger. So let's jump in. Off rip, we instantly get one first battle because, please learn to read. We get no introductions, no here's your guy, nothing. We get thrown into the thick of it.
I'm in the thick of it, everybody knows.
This spiky-haired anime protagonist is Cloud Strife, except he's blonde to stand out. He's also a soldier, and not the military kind. You see the difference? This one's all in capital letters, ooh. We're joined by Biggs, Wedge, Jesse, and a sentient turret with legs named Barret. Cloud here has been hired to commit terrorism, and this is a Mako reactor owned by Shinra. You'll find out that that's a bad thing, for a lot of reasons really. They're basically like, I don't know, Comcast or BP Electric. So we get started. Grab the unmissable restore materia and plant us a bomb. Cloud suddenly has short-term amnesia kick in and he forgets why he's even here.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
However, we're only a few minutes into the game and I don't know what he's trying to remember yet. For now, we have our first boss right away, and I'm really sad that kick-ass boss music didn't play. Oh well. We don't have much in terms of attacks, but it doesn't really matter since we are still in the tutorial. Thunder hits the weak spots and Barret goes on the offense, and as long as we don't try to bludgeon it while the tail is up, then we don't get countered. And just like that, Barret is a big shot and Cloud is just a little braver for their limit breaks. So this is the only real change from the mods I have. Normally you have 10 minutes to escape here and, not be a kamikaze pilot, but the voice acting mod I have shortened it to only 5 minutes, so if anything, I made the game harder. Not that it matters, it's still more than enough time. After the explosion, we get introduced to Aerith. She's a florist, she's sweet, and I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen to her. She's completely and totally fine. I've never been more certain of anything in my entire life. Well, anyways, we have a train to catch, so we cut our way through the next group of Shinra flesh suits and hop on the train, literally, all the way back to the Sector 7 slums and the 7th Heaven bar where we meet Tifa and Barrett's daughter Marlene. Before we do anything else though, our boy needs a drink, and it needs to be, well, Cloud says it best.
So, what'll it be? Something to drink?
Give me something hard.
Probably something like an Aunt Roberta. Judging by the argument we get into with Barret right after, we definitely need it. Tifa guilt trips us into being a permanent member of their terrorist cell, so we better gear up and pick up some new materia. Materia is these little magic pellets full of the same stuff that's in the reactors we made go boom. So I go pick up a fire materia and a bronze bangle that you can miss for whatever reason they decided that. We'll also make a small stop to pick up the all materia because it makes our spells spread rather than only affecting one target at a time. It's pretty sick for the early game, that's for sure. That's when some dirty slum rat kid tells us we look like a chocobo's ass, which I want to be mad about, but this delivery was so good, I can't help but laugh.
Damn, man! Your face looks like a chocobo's ass!
With the prep work out of the way, we start to head to the next bombing run on Mako number 5. Right away, the mission goes tits up because the fake ID Jesse made for us doesn't work. So fuck it, we just jump off the train. And hey, the mission is basically the same, almost like all of these were cookie cutter assets reused over and over again. Although this time, Tifa and Barret and I had to press buttons simultaneously, which for the life of me, I just can't do.
It's just one button press!
Look, Tifa, I'm sorry, I'm not trained in the art of pushing buttons like you. On our way out, we get ambushed by more Shinra forces and the president of Shinra himself, who name drops the one-winged asshole Sephiroth. One of the few things I do know about Final Fantasy VII. That's when we get dropped into a boss fight. I have Barret spam Thunder to hit that weakness while Tifa and Cloud are throwing the hardest haymakers. I still don't know how Cloud swings that 60 to 80 pound sword like it's nothing. Cloud is also the medic at this moment because he has the restore material we found earlier, so it's another pretty easy win for us all together. And we even beat Rush for using Tifa's limit break here, even if I can't make the damn thing land properly. Wakka's reels, blindfolded. This, blind. The reactor goes boom and Cloud goes... Ripperoni pepperoni, bud. But this is RPG land where plot armor means more than anything, so even after he falls several hundred feet onto the roof of a church, craters through it, and lands in a bed of flowers, we're totally unscathed. Meanwhile, if I sleep wrong, I spend my days looking like a dead Family Guy character. Aerith comes to our aid, and in return, we agree to be her bodyguard and protect her from being put on a pure white couch by the Shinra Goon Squad. On the way back to Aerith's mom's house, we had the opportunity to rob a child blind, and I want you to know, I considered it. We also spot our first of many happy turtle flyers that I heard we'll need for later, so keep that one in mind.
Me are this guy?
This guy are sick.
When we make it home, Aerith's mom gives us the old "go on, get," and tells us to leave. However, unfortunately for her, Aerith comes with us anyway, which is totally fine with me because it means she gets to be in some combat and hit us with a healing wind. Jogging along the path, we get to a gate near Sector 7 where we see Tifa being hauled away to some deranged pervert's house. And Cloud goes, "Well, that is my childhood friend. I really should do something about it." And thus, we follow. This leads down a really odd rabbit hole, and we have to find a way into Don Corneo's mansion to save Tifa. However, Don is trying the shotgun approach to finally losing his incel status and only lets women into his home, so Cloud is about to become cloudy.
Cloud, dress up as a girl. I'm sorry, but it's the only way.
What?
We grab a silk dress, a wig, a tiara that he never actually wears, and some sexy cologne and panties. Yes, he wears them. Yes, I checked. I have a license right here.
So what do you think, lad? Feels good, don't it?
No, it's awful.
Once we're inside, we have to show Tifa our obligatory pride card, and she tells us what happened after Cloud had his moment of strife, and how she came into contact with incel Dawn. Turns out, Barrett beat the name Don Corneo out of some poor schmuck, and Tifa wants some information. Thanks to our boy Cloud looking absolutely ravishing with his womanly graces, Dawn tries to rizz me up.
All right, pussycat. Come to daddy.
I would quite literally rather eat a bowl of rusty nails without any milk than be here right now. Luckily for us, we get our information after we threaten to cut off little Dawn and feed it to whatever rabid animals are outside. That's when he gives us the usual villain speech of, "It's already too late. We'll destroy the slums." But that's where all our friends and Barrett's daughter are. So yeah, we should probably get a move on. And we get a first-class ticket to the most obvious trap sprung that leads us into the sewer system and into a boss fight. The boss here has more problems than the Reaper in November and kills himself for us. Whenever the sewer water comes, we just top off our heals and we have no issues. But we do get to learn Cloud's iconic cross-slash limit break here, so that's really fucking cool. On our way out, I do grab the steel materia only to emerge in the train graveyard, which is the perfect time to actually put that to use. There's a missable item here called a ghost hand that we can steal off the ghost enemies. I mean, they won't be needing it anymore on the count of, well, being dead and all. When we make it back to town, we see Wedge get flung off the tower like it's the world's biggest slingshot. Jessie talks about how she's glad Cloud was the one to hear her last words, and we get hit with yet another boss fight right after we meet Barrett. Oh boy, it's the same guy that tried to put Aerith on the iconic white couch. And this strategy here was quite literally just... Magic attacks do a bit of extra damage, so we do just sprinkle those in, but other than that, we make sure to free our party members whenever they get put in triangles. None of them have ever been good at geometry anyway, and thanks to the power of being a high school bully and demanding his lunch money until he gets uncomfortable and retreats, we finish this one up no problem. After the boss fight, we find out that the bomb they planted cannot be stopped, and Aerith gets kidnapped while she was checking on Marlene. We narrowly escape watching the slums get slummier by means of being all scrap metal now, and since this is my first playthrough and the voice mod was added, I have to stop and talk about Barrett's voice actor for a second. This guy sold this performance like nothing I've ever heard. The moment the slums comes down and he's screaming for Marlene, I got teary-eyed. That was the moment I knew this was gonna be a good game.
Marlene! Marlene! Marlene!
Now after we watched the 9/11 premonition, we decide it's time to rescue Aerith. And that kid we didn't rob earlier, we can stop by his place for a turbo ether. So the kindness was worth it for once. With that, we talked to Aerith's mom and let her know we just watched town get splattered and her daughter get kidnapped. But luckily, Aerith brought Marlene here already, so no dead daughters today. Tomorrow's another story, however. Now, it's time for us to get some lore. And today's topic is Aerith's backstory. Turns out she is an ancient and has a bit of an inkling to the events that happen. On top of that, she's adopted since her real mother died when she was a kid. With all that taken in, we need to find a way up to Shinra HQ, and the path forward is blocked by some garbage. So we'll reluctantly pay 300 gil for some batteries because we're gonna need them. I swear, every time someone tries to ask me for money in this game, Cloud acts like he'll never financially recover from this. And then they hit us with the, it's gonna be 11 gil and 4 Skittles. Before we move on, I'm gonna stop back by Dawn's Sex Club and save this dude from whatever Shinra was gonna do to him on that table. Regardless, we can now move on to climbing that trash heap to find Shinra HQ. I feel like there's gotta be some kind of metaphor for it being at the top of a pile of garbage. Tifa makes the suggestion of going all Solid Snake and going in stealthy, but I prefer the stealth method of if no one's alive to remember it, it didn't happen. So we go with Barrett's idea of if it moves, shoot it. We find our next Turtle Lounge flyer, which is highly missable, and I don't like missing things. I've restarted games over less. After ensuring that every Shinra employee in this building has personally been introduced to the wrong end of a Buster Sword and a man who looks like he could fistfight an 18-wheeler and win, we head upstairs. The further in we get, the more puzzles we gotta do, and we can't just brute force these by bludgeoning them into pieces. As much as I wish it was as simple as...
It goes in the square hole.
The mayor of Midgar is here as well, and we have to guess his favorite word on the first try to get an elemental materia, which will imbue our weapons or armor with elements. It's pretty damn good and pretty cool. Of course, your boy got it on the first try. Who do you think I am? The next puzzle we tackle is finding the correct path through this room to get coupons, but the prizes are mediocre at best if I'm being honest. So we'll move upstairs again for the next puzzle, building our very own Midgar Lego set. And then it'll be time to perfect the art of stealth. Don't ask me how Barrett fit in here. So, let's see what they're talking about.
Which is why we're thinking of breeding her.
Oh. I've rationally decided to kill you all. So, we follow the creepy scientist Hojo up to the next floor and see a bunch of shit that triggers Cloud's amnesia, including this headless thing called Genova. Probably not important. Also, how the hell did they not see us? We're kneeling down on the floor. Those glasses are just for show. In fact, I'm pretty sure this dude's blind. I ended up blowing a bit of time here to get some steals off during fights to get a new sword for Cloud and some armor that'll save us some gil later since we don't have to buy it. Wasteland rules, mate. You're not using it anymore? Because I'm using it now. After spending some quality time robbing enemies of their dignity and their equipment, we head upstairs to find Aerith and an experiment of Hojo's named Red 13. Thanks, Hojo, but I'm gonna be taking these guys for my party now. Immediately, we have a fight with HO152, and if this is a boss fight, I have no problems to worry about for the rest of the game because I sneezed and missed combat. Oh well, we got 4 more coming up. Old RPGs really said, you know what this moment needs? 5 bosses in a row. I think this guy's having a little too much fun. Fix it. We grab the enemy skill materia because it's another missable item and skedaddle the fuck out of here. Oh, hello, Turks. What do you mean you're gonna attack us and throw us in jail? We wake up after who knows how long to what looks like the aftermath of a Dead by Daylight match because that headless thing we saw earlier, it's escaped. Fantastic. Well, let's make like an Outlast objective and follow the blood. Suspicious. Holy shit, he's dead. That's gotta be the fastest I've ever seen a villain one-up a party just to get killed. I guess he must have lost to Sephiroth in a game of fuck around and find out. Out of nowhere, here comes his son Rufus, who says he's going to rule with fear and an iron fist instead of money. And here's where we get all the boss fights. And I'm gonna spoil it now. They're all as simple as hell. Barrett, Aerith, and Red Foreman deal with the 100 Gunner and Heli Gunner, who are both weak to electricity, so we charge up a static shock by rubbing our wool socks against the carpet and touch them to death. Yeah, Aerith's Thunder Materia carrying this early game. Cloud gets a solo fight against Rufus, and even without Materia, this dude finds out that a sword is not recommended as a part of a balanced diet. Hey, you ever been stabbed by a blade the size of your own torso? No, I can't say I have. Today's your lucky day. Most people don't get a warning. The building ends up immediately surrounded, and we decide it's time for an action movie event with a motorcycle section. It's a great little minigame where we have to cut people down while driving through this weirdly deserted highway through Midgar. Man, I really want to play the remake for this scene alone. After we hit the end of the road, we get the last boss, and it's the toughest of the group. Motorball has 2600 HP and I have no materia equipped because I didn't change my party before the minigame. So our options are either click the attack button or die. I had a couple of high potions and a fistful of feathers from the Phoenix Downs, which keeps us alive long enough to slam our limit breaks into him. Barret did end up going down though, but honestly, after everything he's been through today, I think he's earned a nap. Cloud's carrying the emotional and mental damage anyway. And with that, we're done with Midgar. First city of the game, and we committed terrorism, got arrested, stormed the headquarters of one of the biggest superpowers on the planet, and made Cloud wear a dress. Honestly, solid opening. Sayonara, Midgar. Time to go teach Sephiroth the science of digesting an 80-pound hunk of metal. After the fun that was the motorcycle race and not being prepared, we now have access to the world map, and exploration is abound! Thanks to the skill materia we grabbed, we are about to commit an innumerable amount of copyright violations when we steal all the enemy skills for this 100%. And the first one we get is a pretty nice one. So how it works is we let enemies hit us with certain attacks and we learn the skill. Kind of like getting hit with a right hook and going, oh, I get it now, and then hitting them with 3 in a row. In case you're wondering why we're doing this instead of just buying more materia, you're new here, aren't you? One of our achievements requires us to master all the materia, and to do that, we're gonna need to get all of the enemy skills. The first one we get is Matra magic from the custom sweeper, and we, shoot missiles. You know, I'm not opposed to some D&D in my fantasy. With that out of the way though, let's go ahead and regroup at Calm and get some backstory on Cloud and Sephiroth. So, to make a long story short, the two of them used to work together. And look, I know some of you already know where this is going. You're sitting there going, just get to it. I see you. But for the rest of us, Sephiroth did the unthinkable. They were assigned to a mission that took place at a Mako reactor in Cloud and Tifa's hometown, where Sephiroth fornicated with Cloud's mother and set the image to Cloud's phone background. Okay, all jokes aside, Sephiroth learned of the ancients and that he is one, and Genova, the headless thing we saw in the Shinra building, is his mother. Alright, that's a lot to take in. So he loses his fucking mind and decides to burn it all to the ground. Honestly, valid crash out. If I saw my own mother being used as a decoration, I'm making sure that casket business is working round the fucking clock. He cut down Cloud and Tifa, who somehow don't have their intestines decorate the sidewalk. Not sure why they were spared, but maybe we'll get more story about it later. It's also important to tell Tifa here that we played her piano during the flashback because it gets us some nice collectibles later that I don't want to miss. And Cloud, the pervert that he is, steals Tifa's underwear. I didn't do it, Cloud did. Cloud, don't put those on your head. They don't make a good mask. Flashback over. Everyone is disgusted with Cloud's actions. Tifa won't speak to us anymore. No, I'm kidding. We switch our party around for some grinding, and during this excursion, Red 13 uses Sled Fang and pops us the achievement for it. As for more enemy skills, the next one we learn is Suicide. No, I'm serious, L4 Suicide. Anyone whose level is a multiple of 4 just has their health drop to 1. Normally, pretty useless unless we trip in front of our crush. Or, we want to get the next skill. But to get that, we'll need to stop by the Chocobo Ranch and pick up some Chocobo feed and the Chocobo Materia. Once that's taken care of, we can encounter a wild cock, feed it, and then use L4 Suicide to get the Chocobuckle skill, which does 1 damage for every fight we've ran from. And yes, it's 100% cheesable by encountering, running, rinse, and repeat until you just drop the pocket nuke on everything. However, that's not challenging and might actually numb my brain to a point where this video never comes out, so we'll just move on to the harder to get skill. Next big skill we have to grab here is Beta, which is what you are, dear viewer. But it's also a good spell to have early on because it deals jump scare damage. The problem with this skill is that it will kill us if we get hit by it. Remember, you have to work up from the smaller caliber bullets to become bulletproof. Don't just take the 50 cal for nothing. So our strategy here is to have Aerith get her 3rd limit break by having her get 160 kills on enemies because it makes us immune to damage for a while in battle, which is handy. So we go up to the giant snake, poison it, and pepper it with spells and skills until it uses Beta to try and desperately kill something, only for us to take no damage, learn the skill, and murder it. There are easier ways to do this, but I personally like to chew on and drink broken glass recreationally. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know that about me. Alright, with skill shopping completed, we go through the caves where we see the Turks being dipshits telling us, "We're going after Sephiroth, stay out of our way," to which I say, "I'll mail your ashes back home." Then it's off to deal with a side quest that's extremely fucking boring. We spend Gil on soldiers at Fort Condor to make them fight enemies, and there is 100 other things I'd rather be doing, like watching paint dry, sniffing formaldehyde, placing my head in a pneumatic hammer. You get the idea. We have to do it though, and I won't mention how to deal with all of these unless it's actually interesting. Besides, 90% of the rewards for this shit aren't even worth it. But the boring shit out of the way though, welcome to the party, Yuffie, because that's also an achievement. I won't really use her much, but her banter's pretty fun to listen to. So let's take her and head all the way to Junon, where we can meet a little girl who drew the short straw and gets attacked. So cue up that boss music. And this is a good time to check out what beta does for us, and Jesus Christ, it just chunks 1100 damage a pop. At this stage of the game, very little will stand up to that. The boss is dead. We give the little girl CPR and YouTube. This is a medical thing. We aren't being weird. Gotta clear that up before the YouTube cops start harassing me. Alright, time for a well-earned nap. Only surprise, there isn't a nap. We need to do another Fort Condor mission. And yes, it has to be right now while Cloud is solo. I'll probably just mention these in passing, but seriously, this is one of the worst side quests I've ever done, period, let alone in Final Fantasy. With the little girl saved, we can finally attempt to sneak up on the Shinra army. You'd think that would be simple, right? Just sneak in, but no. Fort Condor has us wasting more of our fucking time there again. And if you've been paying attention, you knew this was coming. You knew. You probably even said it out loud. Good for you. You're very smart, and I hate you. Anyways, Fort Condor again. And for those keeping count at home, it's been 3 times out of 21.
21?
When we're finally allowed to leave that hellhole, we get to use a dolphin buddy to bounce our way upward and onward. The Shinra army commander yells at us and we're forced to learn a kinda catchy marching song where we have to play another minigame, marching and shouldering our gun over and over again. I had to do this 4 fucking times, watching the instructional cutscene over and over again. If you've ever done this minigame, you know exactly the pain I'm feeling right now. If you haven't, consider yourself blessed. Eventually, we're able to sneak on board a ship with Rufus, where we get to watch Sephiroth prove that he is a grill master as he slaughters everyone and grills up some shish kebabs out of the Fallen. And now we get a boss fight against Genova Birth. But wouldn't you know it, Beta is still carrying as we just crash a fucking semi-truck's worth of damage into it. We arrive at port and make fun of Barrett being in the sailor uniform disguise when Hojo comes by and has more bitches than anyone watching this video ever will. Anyways, he won't tell us anything new, so we head towards Barrett's hometown of Corel and run into the cutest and sweetest baby birds, which we both steal and steal from. I hate to say it, chat, but I'm not sharing either. I'm keeping these birds. But just remember, the ducks at the park are free. You can just take them home. Aerith is disappointed in us because of it though. So, here in this new town, we learn about Barrett's background, and I want you to sit with this one for a second because it's kinda bleak. He convinced his buddy Dine to let Shinra build a reactor in their hometown, and Shinra was so appreciative for the support that they set everything on fire and burned the town to ashes. How considerate of them. Anyways, your lifetime of trauma sucks, Barrett. Oh my god, is that Disneyland? While we're here, we can recruit a new teammate with a Scottish accent named Ket Shi, which I always thought was Kate Sith, but I guess not. Although I guess it's less recruiting when he kind of forces his way into our party. That's when I figured, hey, why don't we go play some carnival games to get some points? That's when I was introduced to the dreaded basketball minigame. This thing was the biggest chore I've ever seen in my life. It took hours, and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to hear in the comments, it only took me 3 tries before I got the hang of it. I don't care. This was awful. Fuck this place. You know what? All my homies hate Disneyland. That's when we go through the park only to find all the Shinra soldiers are dead. So let's line up the suspects. Shifty guy, no. Black guy, wait, that's Barrett. Get out of the lineup. Ghost of Christmas Past, no. Guy with a smoking gun for an arm, no. Hey, wait a minute. So the owner mistakenly arrests us and throws us in the desert to be gobbled up by worms, where we learn more of Barrett's backstory. How he lost his hand and how Dine also lost his arm. So they both replaced them with guns because that is a sensible and reasonable choice. By the way, what does Barrett do when he goes to bed or needs to wipe his ass, by the way? Does he just hope that he doesn't misfire into his own butthole? Soon after this, we can meet Dine himself and have a 1v1 with him to find out that Marlene is actually his daughter, only to try skydiving without a parachute. Guys, this has been a lot. Plot development, a death on screen, but now it's time to race chocobos for our freedom. The game just expects us to be okay with that, and you know what? We are. We absolutely are. How am I supposed to feel sorry for Dine when I didn't even know the guy for more than 5 minutes? Grief is a journey, and ours took place in 90 seconds. If we win the race, we win not only our freedom, but with our freedom won, we get to go back to Fort Condor, yeah, again. Run into a few Turks, and I leave them with their heads shoved up each other's asses like a worse human centipede. In this new town, we learn about someone named Zack that neither Aerith nor Tifa wants to talk about. You want to know who he is? I want to know who he is. Nobody's gonna tell us, so we're just gonna sit here in the dark and fuck ourselves. At least, that's the plan. We take Axel the Red back to his home and find out that his name is Nanaki, and we can help him sort through his issues around here. The dungeon we crawl through is a bit rougher than they've been up until now. Enemies are starting to actually have a little weight behind their blows instead of, I don't know, diddling their fingers in our noses, which isn't a problem yet, but it will be very soon. The boss here is Gil Natak, and he has a ton of HP, more than any other boss we've fought up to this point. Now before I tell you about the boss, I need you to guess what the secret weakness of a zombie is in Final Fantasy. Did you guess healing items? Because if you did, you're smarter than this game thinks you are. All it takes is one X potion straight to the boss's face for him to go, "Oh my god, I'm dying." With that out of the way, let's make our way to Nibelheim, Cloud and Tifa's hometown, where we run into a literal cult worshipping Sephiroth and a ton of creeps who act like the town never got burned down in the first place. So my friends, what do you think we should do next? Go after Sephiroth? No, we gotta play Tifa's piano, duh. For playing it 3 times, we get our grand prize. 1 whole Gil. Which reminds me of the saying, fuck him, give him $1, and I wonder if this is all an elaborate innuendo. We take a walk to the Shinra mansion, and as we head to the basement, Sephiroth baseballs a Materia to Cloud's forehead and then flies off. You know, you're less of an evil mastermind villain and more of an annoying fucking child, dude. This mansion is also where I take my first and second deaths of the run. There's a material we need inside a safe here. The only problem is there's also a big ass enemy in the safe. How the fuck did he fit in there? Regardless of how he crawled his big ass into that safe, he flicks us for 1,000 damage apiece, and if he drums his fingers across us a couple of times, we just get folded. So I decided, well, that's probably enough of the ATB system. I'm gonna change my combat to wait mode so I could actually understand this fight. This dude was no joke, but it is funny that he was a bigger roadblock than any of the bosses so far. Beating him is worth it though, because we get the materia and a key that lets us recruit Vincent, who gave up on being a Turk. We also get the achievement Vincent for it. Man, these names are absolute bottom of the barrel ass. He and Cloud actually share a good bit in common when it comes to their past, but he also tells us that Jenova being Sephiroth's mother is a half-truth. His natural mother is actually a beautiful woman named Lucrezia, who Vincent was kinda in love with. Going back to bosses, we're gonna climb up Mount Nebel and take on the Materia Keeper who absorbs fire. Cool, I didn't need that element anyway. It's not like Beta's fire or anything. But we did get to use Vincent's limit break where he turns himself into an uncontrollable beast and absolutely rips into people. Although, he has a fire attack in this form, which feels like a rude trap. While the rest of the party's chunking the HP bar down, Vincent's out here playing fucking combat medic for him. Thanks, buddy. I want you to imagine hiring a contractor to fix your roof and watching him calmly walk over and set your shed on fire. That's Vincent. That's what we're working with. We do get the Galleon Beast achievement for our troubles, but was it really worth it? Well, with not many clues left to go on from here, let's just walk to the nearby town and recruit our last party member, Sid, who, if you don't know, is a running joke among the series. In this incarnation, he's a former Shinra engineer and rocket captain who had their dreams crushed when Shinra canceled the space program, and now he lives out here crying about his past. We ask him if we can borrow his plane, to which he tells us we can choke on a fat dick and hang ourselves. I think. He does nothing but scream, and it's so hard to just understand when someone's screaming at me. So since we can't get the plane and we need plot advancement, Rufus comes to town with his crew and decides to just fucking steal it. Which is an option that I just hadn't considered. Oh yeah, and there's another boss fight here too. This time against Palmer. And the reason I barely even remember this as a boss fight is because he has one attack. That attack is Cradle Their Ballsack, because he doesn't do any damage and he just makes us uncomfortable at worst. So after we kick the fat man's ass, we steal the plane, save Sid from Rufus, get shot down so the plane becomes a boat, and Sid is our problem now. Good times. Now that we have a plane, we can pollute the planet more than Taylor Swift does going to the bathroom. So we'll take on the Wutai Quest for Yuffie first. This is optional, but I like to 100% these games. You know the deal by now, I hope. Upon arriving, Yuffie is a fucking thief and steals all of our materia, which, first of all, rude. We've only kept you safe from a bunch of life-threatening situations that we put you in. The nerve of some people. She tricks us about half a dozen times and eventually traps us in a cage in her house, which we leave by flipping a switch. Nice cage though, but why do you even have this? And then when things can't get any worse, Don Corneo arrives, and just like that, it gets fucking worse. He kidnaps Yuffie and Elena, which, by the way, the Turks are here on vacation, so rip them, I guess. Elena didn't really do anything wrong. Yuffie, however, no, we're generic RPG, man. We gotta save him. The Turks hear us out and go, yeah, we know that guy. He's a fucking dickhead, so we'll help you beat his ass with a rake. So while we're en route, we hear that Don Corneo is going to marry Yuffie, which might be a great announcement if he didn't kidnap her and she wasn't, 16. So, boss fight time. And it's just another underwhelming one. I have to ask at this point, Do the bosses get any more difficult? Well, the bosses will get harder, but not really. It's like being promised a hot tub and you get in and it's barely lukewarm. After the fight is done, Reno plays judge, jury, and executioner and just kills Dawn. You know what? Rest in piss, my dude. So this section does have a lot of lore tied to this quest, but I'd rather tackle that lore when we get into the remake because there's a lot more to it. So this is the spoiler that I'm going to be doing that at some point. Right now, I'm just trying to learn the OG story and go for the achievements so the remake hits nice and hard. With that out of the way, we get Aerith's ultimate weapon and level 4 limit break to be able to grab the Great Gospel achievement. While doing this, we hear about the Keystone, which is the next lead looking into Sephiroth. To get it, we need to take part in the battle arena, which will unlock another achievement, Battle Square. And hey, we had the date event with Aerith, who is exactly who I wanted for this date event, though I will say I expected a bit more characterization between Cloud and Aerith before this whole thing happened. Next stop though, the temple. Or it would be if Ketchi didn't steal the fucking Keystone and give it to Shinra. We really need to keep better company because I might have to smack someone if they think about stealing from us again. As it turns out, Ketchi is a Shinra spy. That's just wonderful. Now we have to kill him. I'm sure you'd all agree with me, but he says he has Marlene and Aerith's mom hostage, so we'll head for the temple instead. At the temple, we'll meet with Sung of the Turks, who is kind of bleeding out. Damn, Sephiroth really needs to stop cutting people. Rest well, homie. Making it inside, we learn of the black materia that can cast meteor and destroy the planet. I don't particularly have much to say about this dungeon or the boss that's here, in fact. It really feels like the regular general goings-on, though we do get the ribbon that nullifies all status effects. The boss itself, though, I barely remember anything beyond it being a face that comes out of the wall and being a massive damage sponge. Cloud does get his hands on the black materia thanks to Ketchi, so hooray, but Sephiroth bucks with Cloud's head and he hand delivers it to him, and then proceeds to just beat the dog shit out of Aerith. What a healthy relationship. Don't worry, viewers, I was also hopelessly confused as to what the fuck is happening for half of the next disc. Aerith decides to take it upon herself to stop Sephiroth, since she's an ancient. She feels like it's kind of her duty and responsibility to do so, all while Cloud has the mental state of someone who just lived through a bomb going off and killing every single one he knew and loved. Which I guess isn't actually that far off when a maniacal maniac burns down your hometown and kills your family. Cloud decides that he's gonna carry on anyway, but it's not gonna go well. We go and see Aerith, and of course, this is where we get the biggest middle finger in gaming history. Sephiroth attempts to control Cloud again and cut Aerith to shreds, but Cloud regains enough control of himself to not do that. Sephiroth goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself," and impales her through the chest. Now this is one of those worst kept secrets in gaming. I knew this one was coming, despite never having played this game before. So I don't think it hit me as hard as it did for people who weren't spoiled on this plot twist. I'm kind of just more annoyed because she was the best mage we had for the party. With Aerith dead, we fight Jenova once more, but in another form. We have enough spells that we have absolutely nuclear damage, so it's really just another boss that doesn't put up any fight. Following this, we put Aerith to rest properly and conclude Disc 1. Alright, let's take stock of the situation. Cloud lost his fucking mind, Aerith got her organs aired out by Sephiroth, we fought Jenova again, which I still can't tell if that's a god or not, my underwear has a brick of shit in them, and now we have to climb a mountain to chase Sephiroth. There are worse places to be. Not many, but they exist. But what's fun is that now we get to do some snowboarding across the Great Glacier. That doesn't have an achievement, I just wanted to mention snowboarding, though I feel like it should have an achievement. Oh well. And for the record, I definitely didn't introduce Cloud's face to a tree at the speed of sound. Nope, didn't happen. Purge the tapes! We climb the icy cliffs leading to the northern crater, which is one of the more important places in the lore. Finally, we get to meet Sephiroth. Kinda. So let's do some explaining. Sephiroth is simultaneously dead and alive. He's trapped in a giant Mako crystal, and the Sephiroth we've been seeing everywhere is kind of an astral projection of his consciousness. The mind of Sephiroth gives us some evidence that the story Cloud gave us earlier is a load of horseshit, and that Cloud's life is kind of a lie. Well, Cloud loses his fucking mind at this again, and what better thing to do with a person with a shattered mind than to manipulate them? Sephiroth has Cloud hand off that black materia, and good going, dumbass. You doomed us all. Sephiroth casts Meteor, and now the planet has a 2-week notice to get absolutely dinosaured. With our tail between our legs, we start heading out of the area and Cloud falls into the life stream, so we take off with Rufus. I don't know why I expected kindness from this dude since, you know, we're all gonna fucking die, but no, he wants us executed. On live TV, no less. Who's been streaming live leak footage to the living room TV? So, because of the world's impending doom on the way, the weapons awaken all across the world, which aren't just super bosses, they're actually part of the storyline, which is a nice idea to keep the incentive there. So, strapped into the sparkly seat, we're about to meet our maker until Sapphire Weapon attacks Junon and frees Tifa. Shinra responds accordingly by blasting it with a Giga Cannon, and even though I would have liked to have fought this thing, I don't think I'll get to with its gray matter splattered all over 34 countries and 2 continents. Since Shinra's off fighting against supernatural evil demon monster things, the Highwind airship looks pretty vulnerable right now, so we're gonna go ahead and steal it. And now we have access to the entire game's world without random encounters. This is such an incredible blessing because this is an older RPG, which means the random encounters happen, I don't know, every 4 fucking steps and 2 if you trip. Cloud is missing, so that means Tifa's the leader now, and during this bit of downtime, I finish off the Wutai Quest where Yuffie has a solo 5 bosses in the row in order to get the Leviathan Materia. And I'll give the game credit, these were about 5% harder than the other bosses I've fought, but it's still nothing wild. If we just toss a ribbon on her, it's a cakewalk. Maybe a pie run if you prefer pie. The only real issue is fighting her dad, who uses gravity on us, so I keep the HP topped off, for the only thing getting the top off is your body. The head'll be ripped off like a fucking Coke bottle. And it's really cool for family to break out the big guns. This is like going home for Christmas and instead of actually seeing your family, your dad opens the door with a shotgun and says, "Go on, get." Kinda fucking rude. Oh, and for using her limit break, Greased Lightning, we get Greased Lightning, which under normal circumstances might be a cool name for an achievement if it wasn't another fucking move. Though this is an opportunity for us to get almost all of the skills left on our enemy materia, so we'll knock that out and then we'll start heading for Cloud, where we find him almost immediately, like a kid hiding behind the door in a game of hide and seek. Though he's not doing too hot, so Tifa stays with him for a while, and Cid's gonna take over this mission now. Hey, I'm totally cool with this, Cid is awesome. And we can get his limit break taken care of with Boost Jump. And now thanks to some info from Ketchi, who we seem to have forgiven for no fucking reason, I guess because the plot must go on, we know that Shinra is trying to collect huge materia so that they can destroy Meteor. And as much as I want them to destroy Meteor, I have my own plans, so I'm gonna go get that myself. So that means we're gonna chase a runaway train carrying the Mega Materia, save Corel and get Barrett's ultimate weapon, and then max out our first Materia to have a Master Materia. Fort Condor is also under attack now because they apparently have a sign on the door that says, "Cross the gate and get a bag of crack," or at least it feels like it, because this is the 20th fucking time. I'm so over it. Just walk right up and get it, guys. The Fort Condor story reaches the end no matter what, and we get another huge materia and the Phoenix materia, which will be nice later when we combine it with the final attack materia. How many fucking more times do I have to say materia? We check up on how Tifa and Cloud are handling things when Ultimate Weapon attacks the town and makes a massive anime crater. That's when poor Tifa and poor Cloud fall into the life stream. On the surface, this seems bad, but it's actually really good because we're finally able to learn about what happened 5 years ago, so buckle up because it is backstory time. Cloud was talking about Zack Fair in his stories, and he was speaking from the perspective of Zack, his best friend. The same Zack that Aerith and Tifa refused to speak about earlier. Cloud was also in the town 5 years ago, but Tifa didn't realize because he never took off that helmet. During this whole situation, we actually get to see Cloud take Sephiroth down, and even with the little chibis, this is sick as fuck. Not only do we get to see Cloud drive the Buster Sword through Sephiroth's back, but we watch as Cloud gets impaled only for him to lift Sephiroth by the sword and fling him into the Mako reactor. And now that Cloud knows what the fuck is going on, his mind is whole again, and he rejoins us. Well, the world ending is no reason for us to not do our side quests, so we're gonna go ahead and raise some Chocobos so we can get the Gold Chocobo achievement and collect any available ultimate gear we can, including the Knights of the Round materia, which gets us a similarly named achievement. Back to the story, an underwater reactor is the next target for our huge materia. Reno 6 the boss carry armor on us, but the Knights of the Round materia absolutely skull fuck it and just taps it out. GG's, bud. I don't even know what you do. Our prize for winning this fight, though, is a submarine, and I definitely did not fumble the controls for like 10 minutes, and I get the huge materia in record time from the underwater pursuit. You believe me, right? And now, I grind everyone like mad, because the sunken Guernica has a bunch of XP-dense enemies to fling ourselves into, meaning we pick up dice and slots for Ketchi's limit breaks, and top level for hitting level 99. With our newfound power, we have another boss fight with Root of the Turks, and we've fed him his teeth before, so now we get to feed him his dentures. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. We attempt to grab another huge materia, and while the rocket is on a collision course with Meteor, we escape pod the fuck out of there. Hey, big surprise, the Meteor isn't destroyed, so no other options. We'll head back to Cosmo Canyon and have Nanaki's Gramps clue us in about going back to where Aerith died, and we grab another achievement for having grabbed all 4 huge materia and get the Summon for Bahamut 0, which is really cool looking, but Knights of the Round still clears it. We do learn that Aerith did successfully cast Holy before she died, but Sephiroth is preventing it from activating. Holy is the only counter to Meteor, so Sephiroth has to die before Holy can, well, stop it. That's when Diamond Weapon attacks Midgar, so we have to pursue it, engage, and destroy it. Rufus pulls an absolute solar system brain idea and uses all the Mako in Midgar, cuts through all the power, and uses the Sister Ray cannon to destroy Diamond Weapon. So it works perfectly, but at the cost of an old lady slipping in the shower probably. Sacrifices and all that, I don't think Rufus really gives a fuck. But in retaliation, Diamond Weapon nay-nays Rufus and Shinra is no more. This did break the barrier leading to the final boss though, so that's cool. But before we can actually take that on, we need to go save Midgar, because Hojo's trying to do some dumb shit again. After spending way too long in this dungeon, running across train tracks, climbing ladders, and then finally getting to Hojo, he reveals that he is Sephiroth's dad, which is fucking insane, but I have no time for that right now. I gotta kick your ass, bud. So this boss has 3 phases, but each one of them loves to do this thing called dying before they take their first turn, so I don't really have a gauge on this difficulty. But that concludes Disc 2, and if you guessed we get the achievement End of Part 2 was on the docket, your cookie is in the mail. Swapping discs in a digital game feels a little odd because where did I shove these? You'll never know. Anyways, we're finishing up everything before we remove Sephiroth from existence, and the first thing we need...
I need a weapon.
Because these guys are probably the easiest thing we have to do, and the strat for beating them won't differ between each one. So I'm gonna kinda cliff notes this. You know why? Knights of the Round. This isn't balanced at all, and it just rips everything into several pieces. Seriously, it does about 100,000 damage per cast, and it's like we're dropping nukes on everything we walk into and not thinking twice. Combine that with double summon and mime, and our party members can just cast it for free. Carpet bombing everyone with napalm and hydrogen bombs, leaving trails of devastation everywhere, and not much exists afterwards. Even at 1,000,000 HP that some of these guys have, yeah, they're getting destroyed. First one up is Ultimate Weapon, which, like I said, Knights of the Round puts him down very quickly, which will give us another lazily named achievement. I'm gonna head to the Coliseum next in order to get Cloud's Omni Slash that I really wish had a more interesting way to obtain it, but fine. Now that we have that though, we're free to use all the manuals we've been saving for the sake of the 7 achievements that we haven't gotten yet. Omni Slash, Final Heaven, High Wind, Catastrophe, Cosmo Memory, All Creation, and Chaos. Because we got all level 4 limit breaks for everyone. Now we can take on Ruby Weapon, and it really doesn't like people with no honor that don't 1v1, so Cloud has to solo this fight. Because if you come into this fight with 2 party members up, it will literally just start opening sand holes underneath you and swallow them. So there's just no point. This will be the exact same goddamn strategy as all the other weapons, except we're going to be using the Hades Materia first to stun it, so I can just drop Camelot on him over and over again like a demented hammer. Damage in this fight though is a real concern when you're getting hit for 8,000 damage in your back and your entire party is flattened. Luckily though, after just over, I think maybe 10-ish minutes, because the cast time for using Knights of the Round is insanely long, Ruby Weapon is ours. Then we'll move on to Emerald Weapon. For this one, we have to go into the ocean, and this one we can actually have our party members for. So the strategy I mentioned earlier, where we just double cast Knights of the Round and then have our teammates cast Mime, that's really all we have to do. As long as we have Knights of the Round paired with an HP drain Materia, there's literally no way we can die. The last ones we're missing now are Master of Gil and Materia Overlord, which are easy enough to do at the same time. Grinding to level 99 already got me a good amount of money, but not enough, and we need the last Materia in the last dungeon, so we're gonna head there and go grab it and then just leave Sephiroth to his own devices for now. I ended up finding a YouTube strat from this video right here by 4Play Gaming where we can gain a bunch of AP on Materia and then just sell those for Gil. So as long as I keep swapping out our extra Materia that I'm not trying to grind for AP, they'll just get AP passively, and eventually, after 3-4-ish hours, we get Materia Overlord. And of course, by selling the last few Materia, Master of Gil. With the last of the errands done, Sephiroth is next. So we'll split off into teams, which does feel like a cool concept, however, we don't get to use them at all. We just all go in separately and make our way to the center of the planet to take on Sephiroth, who does have the coolest limit break I have ever seen, by the way. Yes, it's insanely long, but God, if it's not cool seeing the entire universe get wiped out by Meteor. Oh right, we also beat the shit out of Genova because Tifa hits it with a suplex. Gotta love a woman who can suplex a giant tentacle demon. Alright, well, we're finally here. The fight with Sephiroth. 2 phases, 2 forms, both the same strat because Omni Slash and Knights of the Round, and yeah. It really has a one-size-fits-all kind of thing going on. After the battle, Cloud is pulled into a final mental confrontation with Sephiroth, which represents the last remnants of Sephiroth's hold over Cloud's mind. And in the 1v1, Cloud just absolutely shreds this motherfucker with Omni Slash. Now Holy is free. The Holy spell opposes Meteor, however, it's so close to the planet already that Holy alone isn't enough. Luckily for us though, the Lifestream erupts forth thanks to Aerith's will and joins in fighting off Meteor. With the combined power of Lifestream and Holy, it is enough to absolutely dominate the threat, and Meteor is stopped. Although the fate of the world is left ambiguous. Thanks to Advent Children though, we know they're all fine. And the game ends with the planet being given a chance to heal after the one-winged asshole's defeated, and we of course get the last achievement of the game. Say it with me guys, end of game. God, these achievement names were so fucking ass. Please let the remake have better achievement names. And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Final Fantasy VII is mission complete. And just like that, we're the savior of Gaia. Going through this game was probably about a 2 out of 5 in terms of difficulty. It was an enjoyable experience, though I'm super excited for the remake. Honestly, I expected a little bit more going through FF7 in terms of difficulty, but you know, by the time we got to the end of Disc 1, bosses were just dying left and right. There was no way for them to even really do anything to us because we had decent materia setups, and then once I grinded to 99, they literally couldn't touch us anymore. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, a like is very much appreciated. I gotta give a huge shout out to my Ko-Fi supporters, Banjo, Anima, Yo, Lux, and Kuracap. Thank you guys so much for your support. You mean the world to me as always. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.